Hmm.
Hello, this is Portland Tidwell. I'm joined today with actor James Dumont, who is such a fabulous person. He's an amazing actor. He does so many things. He's actually on HBO's biggest show right now, The Righteous Gemstones. They are averaging 4.9 million viewers per week, so that's a really big deal. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about today is the writer's strike. And I contacted Mr. James Dumont solely based on the fact that he's somewhat of an expert on the subject. So today I'm going to be talking to him a little bit about that, what it is, why it's important, and hopes to educate and aid the mission. So, James, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I know you're a
Good.
very busy man,
Glad to
so
be with you.
I 100% appreciate this, and I know you took a lot of time out of your day for this.
No
Um,
worries.
and I'm extremely excited to talk with you today. I guess my main goal right now is to educate anybody who's watching. The demographic that I'm going to be sending this out to, they're aware of what it is, what the strike is, but they're not entirely sure why it's happening or what the goal is. So on my Instagram page, I do have a highlight set up where you could click it, you could educate yourself. But of course, I feel having someone like you able to talk about this, someone who's in this business, knows this industry, it'll send a better message and it'll have people get more eyes on it. So my first question would be, this strike has been going on since May 2nd now, right? It's been going on for
We're
quite
we're
some
we're
time,
just past the 90th day. Correct.
right? Was this something that you kind of expected, something kind of inevitable?
Yeah, I think the two things that to keep in mind, and I think this may sound a little bit broad reaching, but the bottom line is that there's a huge disparity of wealth, not just in our industry, from the CEOs to the our lowest worker. You know, our lowest paid worker and our highest paid worker. There's a 3,000% difference between the CEOs that are, averaging somewhere between, with benefits packages and all those things and compensation, between 200 and 300 million dollars.
Mhm.
The average Writers Guild member makes about $64,000 a year. And most actors, 87% of us actors, make less than the $26,000 that is required in order to qualify for insurance. So we have to earn a certain amount of money just to be able to have insurance. If you don't reach that threshold of 26,000, this came after the merger between SAG and AFTRA. And AFTRA were mostly soap opera, mostly broadcasters, newscasters were part of AFTRA. So we combined these two unions, and that did bring the cost down substantially of being able for people to qualify. I had to earn between 35 and 45,000. I had to earn that amount in order just to qualify for the best insurance, which would be Plan One. Now, because of the merger of the two, the cost merger of the two plans and everything, it's a minimum of 26,000. But if you look at a minimum salary of $26,000, that is below the poverty line in any state in America. This is an assault on the middle class within our entertainment industry. And we're not alone in this. UPS was able to kind of come to an agreement, but the disparity of wealth in this country in terms of the CEOs and the lowest formers workers have become egregiously outrageous over a long period of time. We're all entitled to be able to make a living. These are publicly traded companies, so I understand that they have a legal obligation to their shareholders. But what's happening is 87% of the people within my own union are not able to qualify for enough insurance because of streaming. This is a middle class labor issue, and the disparity of compensation from the highest of our business, who have been able to make, massive amounts of fortune. Mind you, collectively, the gross profits from all entertainment were over $541 billion last year. 541 billion in gross profits. Now, yes, their net profits may be different, but keep in mind that these are large, huge conglomerates. The average writer in the Writers Guild makes $64,000 a year. 87% of the actors don't qualify for the $26,000 of insurance. Yes, we see famous actors on the picket line, but this is really a labor issue. This is an issue where the disparity of wealth is so slighted towards the CEOs, and it's making those of us who've been doing this for a long period of time not be able to qualify for our insurance. But most important is I'm a working class person, and I have to earn my insurance every step of the way and every single year. And because of streaming, the payout is so much different, and their profit margins are so much exponentially higher. If you look at a company like Netflix, for example, 5 years ago, Netflix gross profit was 3.6 billion. 5 years later, they're looking at 12.6 billion. So it's gone from 3 to 12 billion in a 5-year period of time. And our contract is still from 3 years ago. So as they're increasing their profits, all we're asking for is a share of that. The actors were asking for a 10% increase. The cost of living is 8.5%. We're only asking for 1.5% more than the basic cost of living. I don't think it was an egregious ask. And the writers were only asking for a 2% increase from their previous contract. So
and that's relatively nothing. That's very minimal.
With the cost of living going up across the consumer price index going up 8.5% in the time period of our last contract to now, the fact that they're only asking for, I think 450 million is what they asked for. And the cost of this strike so far has been over $4 billion. So is this about money, or is this about power?
And AI, I'm because I've been researching that as well. I think AI is obviously a brand new thing that came out, and it is terrifying. This could put a lot of people out of work. And the more I think about this ask for AI restrictions, I stand behind it. That's my personal opinion. I know I'm supposed to remain.
Those AI restrictions are happening in ask the government. They're happening in every corporation and every business. I think AI, I liken AI situations to very much the things that happen with musicians and musical artists in terms of Napster. In terms of these like subscription-based things, or companies like Spotify or Apple Music. At a certain point, people just ripping music and just stealing content altogether and not paying the artists anything at all, to the point where certain artists would release an entire album and say, pay what you think it's worth. And even then that worked to their advantage. But the point is, it had to be blown up in order to be kind of put back into some sort of semblance of proportionality. Streaming versus how many sell points you'd have on Amazon Music or on Spotify or Apple, the numbers are something's wrong in the math here. So this is not necessarily affecting just the actors and just the writers. Keep in mind that when, like I said, in Louisiana, for every 35 cents that we bait them to come here, they spend an additional 70 cents. So there's no giveaways at all, or no supporting taxpayers' dollars, or supporting, liberal agenda in terms of film. That is a false narrative. That is a lie. That's usually put forth by the oil industry that, we're trying to get away from, because they too receive tax credits as well. So we're clean energy in terms of, and we all fight for the same tax credits. So keep in mind that when you do a show like The Righteous Gemstones, I'll give an example of what I'm doing when I'm in Charleston. I'm being paid $60 per day per diem. Now, here's a problem with that. I've received the same $60 per day per diem from 2003, and we are in 2023. The cost of living has gone up 300% from 2003 to 2023, yet I'm still receiving the exact same $60 a day for food for the entire day. So, but when I'm in Charleston, I have $60 a day that I spend, and I go to restaurants, and the network that we work for pays for the hotels. There's a car service that picks us up at the airport. That car service actually goes to a gas station where somebody's selling the gas. When we get on set, there's someone who has provided food for us in the craft service. They've gone to a grocery store. They've gone to a warehouse and have bought bulk amounts of food. Every single car, every single truck, every single trailer requires gas for the generators. That's purchased locally within the town. So the point is that when you shut down production, and this is 100% greed on the behalf of the CEOs, and these multi-trillion-dollar conglomerates, collectively, this is an economy issue. So all of those people that were working on Outer Banks or planning to be working for the entire summer are all out of work. And they have kids that go to private schools, and they have housing payments to do, and they have insurance, and they have cars, and they have food that they have to put on the table. All of those people are out of work because of the greed of these multi-billion-dollar corporations. So it's not just affecting just us. It's every single person in that community. I do think creatively, though, I don't really believe I don't believe that AI is going to be replacing actors on film. I do believe that there are ways in which to capture actors' likeness or these characters, as they did with the Snowpiercer, and then be able to use them at a later date. But there has to be some compensation in order to do that, and you must be told ahead of time before it's happening.
And I can speak for myself. I don't know if other people agree, but I've been seeing AI a lot more in film recently. And you're right, they do try to disguise it. They do try to skip around it. I don't think anybody's that dumb.
I mean, I think it's probably the most devastating in terms of the advertising industry. If you look at the Gecko, for example, that's 100% computer generated and somebody doing a voiceover. Doesn't require a crew, doesn't require a lockup location. Most of those commercials now are just all computer generated. So that eliminates the crew person, that eliminates the set, that eliminates the construction, that eliminates the sound guys, the camera, that eliminates, tens of thousands of jobs. And do people really care? This is the big issue I think we're looking at in our country, is not just in terms of our industry, is does truth or honesty matter? And to some people it doesn't. Or when you're saying to an extra saying, well, we're going to try to get these crowd scenes, so we're going to pay you and we're going to do some CGI, but are you using those crowd scenes throughout the production? Are you playing them for one day and then using it for 10? Because that's what ended up happening with a couple of projects. And this is where I feel this is where people aren't being honest and straightforward about their intentions.
And that's really why I wanted to do this interview. Of course, you do seem like an expert. I mean, everything you've said was majority of my questions already. You've summed it up perfectly, but I think you're exactly right. There's not enough eyes on it. And I think it's because people don't realize how many people it is affecting. And awareness is key. So just you sitting down, explaining this to me, and then of course, once I send it out there, hopefully it will get to the right people and it'll teach people this is an issue.
Yeah, this is a labor and economic issue.
Yes.
It's we're asking for a living wage.
It's a livable wage.
A livable wage, just really 1.5% above the cost of living. I don't think that's egregious.
No,
when the largest the largest payer in our business is running somewhere between 350 to 400,000 in compensation. That's insane.
So the people watching now, what is something that we can do to assist? I know that you did mention picketing. You touched on it very lightly. Of course, there's a way to donate. What is something I can do right now once I turn the computer off, once I go to my phone? Is there anything I can do now actively to help?
I want the general public to understand this plight is not, that we're not alone in this. I feel like it's good to be informed. I do think if you see things on Facebook or you see things on Instagram in terms of the picket and the strike, forward that along, send that to people, paste that forward, send it to friends. Make positive comments, help us in terms of that message.